Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to No Timeouts, a football show coming at you from the Score Studio. My name is Jonah Birenbaum. That is Tyler MacKillop. That is Dan Wilkins. That is Zak McDonald. You know them. You love them. Gentlemen, not only did we hit the official halfway point in the 2025 season this past week, but the trade deadline is now behind us as well, and it was a busy one. A flurry of deals on Tuesday resulted in a total of 27 players. 27 players being traded in season in 2025. That's the most players to be traded in season in a quarter century. Sauce Gardner was, of course, the biggest name to be dealt on Tuesday as part of the Jets teardown, but we also saw Quinnen Williams get shipped out by New York. Rashid Shaheed got moved. Wilk, what's your biggest takeaway from what was a pretty busy trade deadline?
It's just that the Colts are all in, man, and I think I love it. Like, normally I would caution against giving up 2 first-round picks for any non-quarterback unless you're getting Micah Parsons. I don't think that Sauce Gardner is quite on that level, but I do think this has an opportunity to be a similarly unique situation. We're talking about a top 5 cornerback in the game and one who is still only 25 years old. And after he signed a long-term deal with the Jets in the offseason, it's very weird to trade him so soon after that. Yep. But
it's really weird.
It means that he's already under contract through 2020 or 2030, is it?
Yeah.
Either way, like, this is a long-term investment. His ability to completely take away one side of the field changes really everything that the Colts are going to be able to do with his defense and gives them a real opportunity to be that complement they've been looking for an offense that's quickly become one of the best in the entire league, to much of our surprise. And really, that offense is the other side of this, because I think that giving up all those picks all but confirms that they are all in on Daniel Jones, and I understand that might make some people feel a little bit uneasy.
Weeks ago.
I mean, where could we see possible proof that goes wrong?
Yeah, I mean,
signing Daniel Jones to a big contract.
Yeah, you said you were concerned about the fact that they were like that Daniel Jones is going to get this big ticket deal, and now there's no out of that. Daniel Jones can basically be like, "Here's my number, you can have it." I got no choice.
I agree, but like, it was already heading in that direction anyway. Like, they were never not going to sign him, and this doesn't change that. But to me, this just says they are that confident in being as good as they have been so far this season over the course of the next however many years. And honestly, really, I've been a big Chris Ballard hater over the last however long, because I've just taken issue with his willingness to sit back and be conservative when he has these opportunities to be aggressive. Now, you can make the argument that this goes way too far in the other direction. I would listen to that, but I think that when you're getting a player of this caliber who has the ability to be like a final-ish piece for a borderline contender, I don't have any issue with giving up those picks, because if those picks end up toward the end of the first round over the next 2 years, I don't think you're going to have any regrets about this deal.
So let me ask you a question. The Colts are tied for the best record in the NFL. They lead the NFL in points. They lead the NFL in point differential, and they just added what seems to be the final piece of this contending unit. If the AFC Championship game was today and the Colts were playing the Chiefs, who are you picking?
I'm still picking the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Look, I think that this past week, the way that the Colts got beat by the Steelers, it may have just been a one-off game. But when I was looking at that, I was like, hey, look, this is evidence that if you build an early lead and you force the Colts to play from behind, offense looks a little bit different. The entire team looks a little bit different, because the run game is phased out and they're forced to throw. I think Daniel Jones threw the ball 50 times. That's how you beat that team. Well, if you have a lockdown corner like Sauce Gardner, that certainly helps the defense prevent against that and really allows the Colts to stay on script against more opponents throughout games longer than they otherwise would be able to. And to be fair, this whole season, they've been able to do it even though the defense hasn't been that great. And I think that Lou Anarumo being able to add this kind of player opposite Charvarius Ward, who will come back from injury at some point, and Kenny Moore in the slot, I think it's going to be a great cornerback trio, and I think they have an opportunity to do some really cool things.
I mean, if you look at it in the AFC, who are the 3 best teams in the AFC right now? Buffalo, Kansas City, and I think we all agree Baltimore at full health will be. How are you going to beat those 3 teams? It's running the football. That is the deficiency of all 3 of those teams. And Sauce is definitely their missing piece. Like, Latu is like a top 10 defensive player in the league so far this year. The secondary was the problem, and they go and plug it with like one of the best corners in the league. So,
and it gives a lot of
like the Colts. This is the piece that completes the puzzle.
Opens up a lot of versatility for Lou Anarumo, who is a really good defensive coordinator. And when you have this, it not only does it improve your secondary, it improves your pass rush, it improves everything that you do on defense.
T, what's your Trade deadline takeaway.
Well, there's the other side of things with the Jets, and that is the deal with Quinnen Williams. And now we're kind of getting a full picture on what the Micah Parsons trade looks like. And I'm kind of wondering what the Cowboys are doing from the perspective of, yes, the run game and how they've defended the run has been a problem. But, I mean, the coverage and their secondary is definitely their biggest deficiency. I don't think this is a playoff team anyways at 3-5 or 3-5-1. I forgot about the tie.
They just lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah, they just lost to the Cardinals pretty handily. You've got Trevon Diggs, who's given up almost a perfect passer rating when targeted this year when he has played. They've been playing Tre'Quez Bridges, and the only reason I know that name is because he was drafted by the Chargers in the 7th round this year, and then they cut him. He gave up over 100 yards receiving against the Broncos, gave up a couple big plays against the Cardinals, and then saw the bench. Like, this secondary is porous, and they probably could have used more help there than up front because, like, Donovan Ezraku's had a good year. Jadeveon Clowney's kind of stepped in, and just every team he goes on, he's making an impact. Dante Fowler hasn't been bad. Like, they're not terrible up front. And now you get the full picture on the Micah Parsons deal, which is Micah Parsons upgrading a second-round pick to a first-round pick and Mozzie Smith, and that gets you Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, and again, upgrading the second to a first. It doesn't really look that great in full picture, but I mean, you're spending less money on Quinnen Williams than you were with Micah Parsons, and Quinnen Williams is kind of that do-it-all run stuffer plus pass rush ability. He's a great player, like no doubt about it, but the Cowboys are really confusing me, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out for, a lot of trade deadline analysis centers around the buyers or teams that are in contention this year and the sellers are the ones who aren't. And so when a team like the Cowboys, who I think we all agree probably doesn't have a chance to do much this year, ends up being a buyer, they automatically get criticized for it. I think that part of it is a little unfair just because Quinnen is a multi-year guy there. I guess they'll probably have to give him an extension after this offseason, or
I think
maybe it's 2 years left.
Yeah, I think it's a few.
Either way, he'll be a long-term piece there. I think
Yeah.
that's what this trade was made in mind with. But
Yep.
I'm kind of with you, man. Like, when you kind of look at the entire picture and what they traded Parsons away for and what they're getting in return in totality, it looks really bad. I'm fine with the price in a vacuum for Williams alone, but it's just like a reminder of how bad the process was extending all the way back to that Parsons deal.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Definitely the bigger picture here.
You want to know what? Here's what it is. The Cowboys don't have a plan. There's no plan. It's just Jerry Jones goes on a whim and does whatever he wants. And that sounds like a reductionist way to look at what the Cowboys are doing, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
It's clearly evident over the past few years.
He readily admits that all he wants to do is make the Cowboys
Yeah.
interesting. Like, that's his main priority. It's really embarrassing.
He got on the
honestly.
radio and talked about a trade that hadn't. I feel like he
That
got
was
on the radio,
crazy.
talked about the trade they hadn't played yet, and he's like, if we, he tells the I don't know if it was, with the Bengals or if it was this trade. He's like, dude, if we lose, like, I'm not sure if I actually want to make this, but we can agree to this deal in principle.
Yeah.
What a mess. Speaking of messes, Zach, what's your trade deadline takeaway?
Well, all right. The Jets have blown it up. Jets, Jets. The resident Jets fan will put an embargo on the Jets after this.
Yeah, moratorium
episode.
after this one.
Yeah,
This
no
is,
more
so
Jets
get
talk.
in all you can, 'cause this is it.
All right, here's the Jets talk. The Jets blow it up, rebuilding since 2012, continuing on that pattern. That's not even a joke. It's literally true. They've been rebuilding since 2012.
I thought they've been rebuilding since like Joe Namath, since like Super Bowl III.
You forget the Rex Ryan back-to-back AFC Championship appearances, my friend. All
How
right,
can we forget?
The height of my Jets fandom. So in a vacuum, I look at these trades. You see, getting Sauce Gardner for 2 first-round picks. That's pretty good value for Sauce Gardner. It doesn't really make sense to me to sign a guy to a 4-year extension and then trade him in that same season. But I'll get to that in a second. The Quinnen Williams trade, I think that's amazing value for Quinnen Williams. It's a guy who he didn't want to be on the Jets anymore. He's tired of losing, been here since 2019. They haven't had a winning season. So you get a first and a second round pick for him, and a bit of a stroke of genius by Darren Muji. He gets the better of the first round picks from the Cowboys and Packers, which obviously will be the Cowboys next season, I'm assuming. Yeah. So obviously to me, this sends the message that the Jets are on the hunt for a quarterback again. And this is where the problem of this trade comes in. They're putting complete and utter faith in Muji and Aaron Glenn, who have got off to a 1-7 start with a lot of really talented players on their team. You are now tied to these guys for the next 3 to 4 years, and there's no reason really to believe that they're going to be good at their jobs, especially with Aaron Glenn, how unsuccessful he's been making this defense with guys like Will McDonald, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Quincy Williams, who is supposed to be a really good player.
Was he the guy that they just said he was being benched?
Yeah, they benched him. They trade away his brother, and then they bench him on the next move.
They got a vendetta against the whole family.
Pure Jets. So I think what this all boils down to at the end of the day is like they're either going to hit on a quarterback or they're not going to hit on a quarterback, and that will tell you whether this is a good trade.
Which right now I don't even think I get quarterback's most important position in the NFL, and maybe there's one available in this draft that you want. This team just traded its two biggest pieces right now. I would be focused on every position on this roster. You don't even need to focus on quarterback this year.
And I don't think the strategy was unsound. Like this team needed to look towards the future. It's just it's hard to have confidence that the people running the show are going to deliver now that they have all these first-round picks and second-round picks.
And like I said, the only reason you make this trade is because you're saying we're going to invest in the offense. They've drafted tackles in the last 2 years in the first round, both who actually look pretty good. They have a number one wide receiver, and you're obviously trading these picks to either package them together to trade up for the quarterback that you want or to create a supporting cast around your quarterbacks. That is the only reasonable strategy that can come from this. But the question is then, why is Aaron Glenn your head coach? Why do you have a defensive-minded head coach to lead this track? And you have Tanner Engstrad, who's the offensive coordinator, who this is his first year as an offensive coordinator. You need to have veteran people who understand how to develop quarterbacks around in order for this to be successful. It's the problem they fall into with Sam Darnold, who was a good quarterback even when they drafted him. They just didn't have the support to be able to lift him up. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, even looking from a future perspective.
Speaking of not making a lot of sense, why didn't they trade Breece Hall? Yeah. Like a running back who's going to be a free agent, like it's textbook Jets, right?
Yeah, I don't get it at all. This is a weird situation for me because I think that on one hand, getting all these picks that you're getting, like you could argue that they got great value for both players, makes sense for building for the future. But again, we were talking about Sauce Gardner earlier. He's 25 years old.
Yeah, well, cornerback is a position that it's a young man's game.
Sure,
the position is so
old man Sauce.
So it's just like second. No, but like when the Jets are ready to compete when he's 29, like that position can fall off a cliff. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, I just think that like when I looked at this roster on paper early in this season, they weren't getting the wins. But I kind of saw this as a team that was like, okay, if you drop a quarterback in there, maybe like you got a lot of good defensive players. Well, now you don't. You got rid of your two best defensive players. And I think that this move kind of bails out Aaron Glenn for a while because, again, when I looked at this defense, I said, okay, like you have a defensive-minded head coach coming in. He's really going to elevate what is already a really talented group. And he didn't. They were awful over the first half of the season. Now they're going to be even worse down the stretch, but now he's got an excuse. It's like, well, we don't have any talent anymore. You did, but you traded it all the way. I don't know. It's a little weird for me. I can see both sides of it, but I think it's worth pointing out that they could have kept all of these like young players who are still in their prime and probably ended up with the number one overall pick anyway because they're the Jets.
That's the part that doesn't. I don't know. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, to sum it all up, Jonah, spoiler alert: the Jets are going to suck. So.
Well, what's striking to me is that this conversation kind of, I don't know, illustrated some parallels between the Jets and Cowboys. It's like they both just don't really have a clear vision, and even if you can kind of see what they're trying to do, you just don't have confidence that they have the personnel in place to execute it. But we'll see what happens. Let's move on. Gentlemen, now that the dust has settled post-deadline, and with the second half of the season officially upon us, I want you guys to do some forecasting. Specifically, I want you each to give me one team that is currently in the postseason picture that will not end up making it, and one team currently on the outside looking in that will end up making the playoffs. The only rule is that none of you can pick the Chiefs, who would miss the playoffs if the season ended today, but will obviously be there when it's all said and done. I want to hear your postseason fakers and shakers. Wilk, you're up. Give me a team that's currently in the postseason picture that will not make it.
I'll go with the Steelers. I was definitely encouraged by what they did last week against the Colts and what was a pretty big upset win.
I called that one, by the way.
Did you?
I did. I said the Steelers are going to win because, come on.
Okay. I mean, fair. Good call.
You're going for his Oracle status.
Yeah, I know.
You got a ways to go.
It was a really impressive defensive performance, but one game, no matter the opponent, is not going to be enough for forget about everything that defense put on tape over the 2 months prior. Offensively, heading into the deadline, I thought it was absolutely imperative that they go out and get a number 2 receiver to line up opposite DK Metcalf. According to Adam Schefter, they were in the mix for Jacoby Myers until they ultimately got outbid by the Jaguars. And honestly, that's a little crazy to me because you are all in on this 1 year with Aaron Rodgers, probably the only year that you are going to get with him before he retires. You identify your top target to fill your biggest need ahead of the deadline, and 4th and 6th round picks are too much for you to go out and make that happen. I just don't get it, man. I don't understand what they're doing. I know Marquez Valdez-Scantling did some good things in New Orleans last year to the surprise of many. I know he has a connection with Aaron Rodgers, but like this cannot be the one move to address your biggest need. I just don't think that the Steelers have the firepower on offense to compensate for what is probably still going to be a really bad defense, and I think that comes back to bite them over the second half of the season when the schedule is pretty challenging.
T, who's your postseason faker?
I'm going to go with a surprising one here. I'm going with San Francisco, the 49ers.
Wow.
I know the schedule is really easy. There's a lot of cupcakes on it. I won't deny that. It's about 4 games that they have a good chance.
And they got a nice
everyone
little
would
cushion,
expect.
too.
Yeah, and a cushion that everyone would expect them to win. But here's the deal with this San Francisco team. Injuries are a major, major, major problem. Like you're without Nick Bosa for the rest of the season. You're without now Michael Williams, who tore his ACL. They just put Yetur Gross-Matos onto IR after he had a setback, and he had actually been playing really well since he arrived in San Francisco. So they're down to a depth
Forgot
chart
the most important one.
on the D line.
Oh, defense.
Yeah,
Fred
yeah.
Warner.
Yeah, Fred Warner out
Yeah.
for the year for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is like you look at what they have now up front, and there's not a lot to be fearful of in the pass rush, like Bryce Huff being that top option. They added Keon White via trade with the Patriots. But I think any team that can't rush the passer at a high level is in trouble in terms of can lose to anybody. And then offensively, the run game has not been good. Christian McCaffrey is going to have his worst rushing season of his career on an efficiency basis, his lowest yards after contact per attempt. They're the worst rushing team in the NFL. I don't know if you guys can believe that. They're averaging 3.5 yards
It's hard to
a
believe
carry.
given how much production he's delivered
And
overall.
and a light schedule, yes, because I think it's also concerning, you bring that up, that he's going to have the best receiving season of his career if he's healthy. Almost 1,200 receiving yards he's on pace for. Run game hasn't been good, 4th highest stuff rate as well. They're just not moving bodies up front. And yesterday, Kyle Shanahan was asked about Brandon Ayuk, and he said, yeah, it's likely he'll be back this year. Like, like I got people in my fantasy league that drafted Brandon Ayuk in like the 8th round thinking they got a steal. He might not even play a single game for your fantasy team. I think there's a lot of factors working against this team that is really well coached and does have a nice schedule. But I do think the way that they're playing and the way that they look and the way the injuries shake up, I think they can lose to anybody. And there's some teams in the NFC that can make up some ground.
Tough division,
I think the one counter, I mostly agree because those defensive injuries could really sink their entire season. But the one counter is that they've kind of weathered the storm so far to be in a position, and that's with Mac Jones. So they're going to get Brock Purdy back. They will get Ricky Pearsall back. I think that George Kittle will start to ramp up after missing the time that he did. So I think the offense will be great, at least the passing game element of it will. But yeah, I don't know what to expect of that defense because the entire thing was supposed to be built on a Nick Bosa-led pass rush and having the best linebacker in football, and those two being out. I'm just really surprised that they didn't make a more aggressive move beyond Keon White to upgrade the pass rush at the deadline.
Definitely.
Zachy, who's your postseason faker?
My postseason faker, sorry, T-Mac.
Buddy, it's fine. I hope this happens.
I'm taking the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. Basically, if you assume that the Chiefs and the Ravens are going to be in the playoffs, you're going to have to take out 2 teams. Obviously, one of those teams I think will be the Steelers as well. The other team is between the Chargers and the Jaguars. The Jaguars kind of have a bit of an easy schedule coming up. They still have 2 games versus the Titans. They've got a game versus the Jets. They've got a game versus the Cardinals. And the Jags and the Chargers play, which I think will be really who decides who makes and who doesn't make the playoffs is between that game that happens, I think not this week, but the next week after that. The Chargers, obviously the injuries on the offensive line are just absolutely devastating. They're trading for Trevor Penning for a 7th round pick.
Good value. When was he drafted? First round talent for a 6th round pick.
You see Joe Alt get carted off, just
Yeah,
incredibly sad. Like the vibes are just really not good right now. I think it's kind of one of those things where you're going to look at the schedule and there's going to be one team that's going to surprise you that doesn't make the playoffs. And I think the most likely surprise is the Chargers.
Yeah, they've given themselves a good cushion. They're 6-3 at least. They probably could have a better record with a couple of bad losses, but I mean, we're talking about the guy they signed off the street who hadn't been with any organization during the month of September. He's hurt, and they're like going to tackle number 7.
Yeah.
This is a catastrophe.
It just it couldn't have shook out worse.
I did the Mekhi Becton rant again. Guy didn't play last week.
I feel like this is an
maybe moving him out to tackle.
This is like an annual tradition. At like week 9, you're like, oh, the Chargers are a catastrophe. I hope they miss the playoffs.
This time I really do, though. It sucks because Justin has his best supporting cast of his entire career. Like, it's not close. Like, Rondé Gadsden has broken out in a big way.
Although Quentin Johnson, after that hot start, is...
Yeah, but he's catching... Did you see that? Did you see that play down the sideline? Quentin Johnston of yesteryear does not make that play.
Keenan Allen's been really good.
Keenan Allen's turned back the
from
clock.
the dead.
Yeah.
It sucks because this team could have been in good position if they were healthy. But now that they're not, I hope they lose every game.
On the flip side, then, let's talk about the postseason shakers, teams on the outside currently that are going to make it in your mind. Wilk, who's your shaker?
Yeah, I'll take the layup. It's the Ravens.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 3-5, but Lamar Jackson's back. Got that win on Thursday night against the Dolphins. They've got a chance to run off like 4 more of those before they play the Steelers in early December. And I think after they beat the Steelers, then that's when we could see the standings atop the AFC North flip in the Ravens' favor. And I don't expect that they would be looking back after that. So I think that they come all the way back and the Steelers go out.
Yeah. What's amazing is how good their defense has been also over the last little while. Like, really shaky early in the season. They've given up 17 or fewer points over their last 3 games. Yeah, they're really scary now that Lamar is back. Who's your postseason shaker?
I'm going to go with another one that doesn't have the easiest of schedules, but I think that they're turning things around in a big way, and that's the Vikings. 4-4 right now. If I'm going to take out San Francisco, I need another NFC team.
That's tough.
And I think one big thing that's been a problem for Minnesota the last few weeks was their defense was not playing like the group Brian Flores coaches. They weren't stopping the run. Usually they're able to kind of stop the run, pin their ears back, and get after opposing quarterbacks, and they weren't able to do that the last number of weeks now. But I think that Andrew Van Ginkel's like this key piece of their defense, and Brian Flores has, of course, been coaching back to their Miami days, that changes things for them. I thought they looked completely different against the run because of him being on the field for them, and obviously being able to stop the run puts opponents in more obvious passing downs, and Brian Flores is a great schemer when it comes to the blitz and in coverage. So I think that they're going to elevate in a big way in the second half and go back to being one of the league's top 10 units. That's the big key factor for this team because, of course, with J.J. McCarthy, you really don't know where the floor or the ceiling is right now. He's going to get the opportunity to work with that full skill position group. Didn't have Jordan Addison his first couple of weeks. This was the first game he got to play with them.
Aaron Jones returning to the lineup has been really valuable for them,
with Aaron Jones back too. There's a lot of question marks for this offense, but at the end of the day, they do have one of the best players in the entire league on offense for him to get the ball to. That's going to decide whether or not they can make this happen. But they have weathered the storm in some way at 500 that I still think it's on the table to go 10-7 and get into the postseason.
I mean, I like everything about this team. I love them heading into the season, like the defense, the way the offense is
Brian Kelly's going to be back.
The playmakers, but I don't know what to expect from J.J. McCarthy at this point. I really don't, and that's going to decide it. And if I had to lean one way, I would say that he's not it, just at least not yet.
Yeah. It's just hard to anoint him after the first really good game of his career.
It wasn't even.
That's the thing. It was unspectacular.
Which is kind of the book on J.J. McCarthy in general.
3 games in,
and it's like
that's
even at Michigan, right? Like he was never really like blowing anybody away.
I think he still has every opportunity to be a really good starter in this league, but like what he's been doing so far this season gives me zero confidence about the Vikings being a contender at all this year. But
taking the shot on the upside. We're just going to take the shot.
Fair enough. Zach, you close it out. Who's your postseason shaker?
This one is a bit of a wishful thinking on my part, but I'm taking the Bears. They're just on the cusp of being they're in the hunt graphic right now. I think.
Nice.
So I just love what I've seen from Ben Johnson so far. I think that he's really showed that he is going to be an incredible head coach in the league for a really long time. A lot of the things that he was doing in Detroit have transferred over perfectly to Chicago, especially the trick plays, which if you look at the effectiveness numbers on the trick plays, it's insane how well they work. I think it's a 1.1 point EPA every single time they run a trick play. They ran the sort of double reverse to Caleb Williams where they scored the touchdown in the end zone. He runs it. Not only does he run the trick plays well, he knows the time when to do them. And you could also see the team just galvanizing around him. At the end of the last game, he was in the locker room and he was doing the don't apologize for a win after they have that incredible win at the end of the game. He to me genuinely feels like a real culture changer. And I feel like the players are completely bought in. And Caleb Williams is like, he can be a little up and down, but his ups are so exciting to watch. So I think the Bears could be a sneaky team that breaks into the playoffs.
Yeah, I like it, but oh my God, you better apologize for what the defense looked like against the Bengals. What was it, 42 points? I would have been way more in on the Bears if they found a way to go get an edge rusher at the deadline. Just do something to that defense. Like, if that defense is going to be the same as it was over the first half, I think
it's
very
hard for
concerned
them because they're not there yet. Like, unless they make a move that's like more long term. If you don't have Jalen Johnson, it's going to be really tough as it is. And I don't even know if Johnson will be back at all this year.
Yeah, it's just like, I know it's harder for teams like that to justify the moves that like the Eagles can justify when you have, like when Howie Roseman has really stockpiled all these picks that he has over the years, and it's easier to part with them when you have so many. But just thinking of like a 3rd round pick for like a Jalen Phillips type that could really elevate that defense for them to just end up settling for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as their one addition on the edge of the deadline is a little underwhelming for me.
Yeah, look, they're giving up 28 points a game. The best team that they've beaten this year is Dallas, and their schedule is not easy. They got to play Green Bay twice. They got to play the Eagles, and they close out against the Lions. That is a tall task for a team.
Ben Johnson gets
Jonah,
the big bucks.
can I say something?
Go.
I got the last pick in this draft. All right, so like take it a little easy on me. We already had the Chiefs crossed off the board. I had to pick a team. All right?
Yeah, I did take the easy one.
Yeah, it's true. You took the layup. Great stuff, guys. All right. We've reached halftime in today's show, which means that we need to talk about something very important.
Do we have a halftime show?
We sure do. We got to talk about Tom Brady's dog.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we have to, because he cloned his late dog who died in 2023 to create a new dog. Zach, you must have thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, it's like, every once in a while, there's like a moment that like reminds you why you were born to live on this earth. And Tom Brady cloning his dog reminded me why I was born to live on this earth.
Sure.
There's no story more appropriate for me. I'm the out of bounds guy here on the No Timeouts podcast. So yes, he takes his dog, Junie. He gets a blood sample from Junie, and this company, I think it's called,
investor.
Colossal Biosciences. They use this. So this is how they explain it. They say, you take this cell, it's called the somatic cell, you take the nucleus out of the cell and you put that into an egg cell. And that process, better known as cloning, is also referred to as somatic cell nuclear transfer. And once you do that, essentially it becomes an embryo that you put into a surrogate, and then the dog has the new baby. So they take this blood sample, they transfer it into a surrogate dog, the dog births a new dog. This dog is called Junie, the old dog's called Luna. And this is the most insane thing that a human being has ever done. And it is pure proof that there needs to be a cap on how much money people can have in a lifetime. Yeah. It's a ridiculous way to spend your money. Have you ever just gotten a new dog? New dogs are great, Jonah.
Honestly. Dude,
are people having an issue where they're getting a new dog and they're like, this dog sucks? All dogs are good.
I'm just begging. Look, I don't want to get into a big conversation about the ethics of cloning. I'm just begging.
I do want to get into it.
I'm just begging famous people to be normal for 1 second. Look, your dog died. That is a tragedy. I do not want to minimize the grief that he experienced. It's a universal grief. Any pet owner will tell you.
The problem is the dog wasn't dead yet, though. That's the thing. He's prepping for the dog to die.
But to Zach's point, just get a new dog.
Just get a new dog.
Don't create a new dog. Don't play God.
No.
Get a new dog, man.
And can I also just one last thought?
Yeah.
I need to go into conspiracy corner here a little bit,
Go
just for
for
1
it.
second.
Why not?
And I think that Tom Brady, we talked about this before, the sycophantic medical salesman segment that we had.
We're there.
We were
He's
there.
on his way.
I really saw the future with that. Another Oracle moment. Tom Brady doesn't care about dogs. He doesn't care about his old dog. He doesn't care about his new dog. He cares about one thing. He cares about winning Super Bowls. And this dog it's not about the dog. It's a test subject for Tom Brady to eventually clone himself so that he can continue his legacy as the greatest quarterback in the NFL. There will be a Tom Brady 2.0. He's in a cryo chamber somewhere, and that man will dominate and win 6 more Super Bowls.
That's the smartest thing you've ever said on this show.
My question
He's
is,
right.
though, this doesn't work like you guys ever watched the Santa Claus. I think it was 2, where like they have the toy snowman.
Tim
He just
Allen?
gets cloned. Tim
Yeah.
Allen. And they actually like have a clone machine where you just like that's not what's
That was
happening
before
here.
your time.
No, that's one of my favorite. That's my favorite Christmas movie is the
Santa Claus 2.
He is this. Sorry, go
it's
ahead.
not.
It's because it's actually like it has to be born. So he actually is. If he were to do what we're talking about here, he'd actually just be a child, like
Well-
his third child or whatever, and like
Well, yeah,
he
so
could
he has to
build a
raise the
quarterback
child
progeny.
up.
Yeah.
That's what I think he's in some sort of a football, like the John Gruden football camp. I think the Tom Brady child is in there somewhere.
You know how many people would line up to be that surrogate?
Yeah.
Holy sh!
And that's
I
what I'm
hate
saying. That's what I'm
everything
saying.
about this.
Okay, but I think Zach
Look,
is
he's been
absolutely
squirming
right.
in his
This was
seat
this
for-
was proof of concept. This was a soft launch. This was a normalization effort.
Yeah.
He's going to clone himself. It's only a matter of time. TB24 is coming.
Yeah.
Mark your calendars. All right, gentlemen, let's move on. We're at the season's halfway point. Let's hand out some hardware. Give me your major award winners right now. Not the guys that you think will win the award at season's end, but the players you think are most deserving of the award if the season ended today. Let's start with MVP. Wilk, who's your MVP?
Who is my MVP?
You know who it is.
You know
It's
who
the
it
guy
is. Look to New
it's the guy who's
England.
played no one.
Look to New England.
The Tom Brady clone?
Yeah.
Drake May. Drake May's been incredible, man. I know that, T has a big problem with the schedule they've played so far.
Yeah.
I get that, and he has taken too many sacks. Some of that is probably him. Some of that's the offensive line. But, man, he has been a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league so far this year. And
I thought
I've
we were
been
picking MVP.
No, but what I'm saying is I've been making the case all along that like the Patriots hadn't done nearly enough to kind of emerge as like the true contender heading into the season. I thought that they were still another year away, but that process has been accelerated by the fact that he has immediately established himself as in my mind as the best quarterback from last year's class. I know during the offseason I was trying to make the case that it would still be Caleb Williams. I think it's probably time for me to change that. I think it's Drake May, and he's been incredible. And the Patriots are, I don't know, they might win the AFC East. And if they do, I think that he has a chance to be the MVP at the end of the year too.
T?
I would go with Matthew Stafford. 21
Wow.
touchdowns, 2 interceptions, leads the league in yards, pass yards per game. But more importantly, in some of their biggest games of the season, he showed up. I know they lost to San Francisco. He threw for almost 400 yards in that game. He's thrown the most passing yards in a game against Houston of any quarterback this season. Obviously, they were a kick away from beating Philadelphia as well. He's played incredibly well this season in a year where the Rams haven't run the ball that well, and he's got the 5th highest completion percentage on passes of 20-plus air yards so far this year. The deep ball's been great from him, too, and throwing it at a much higher volume than usual because he's got that piece in Devontae Adams to help him do that. But I think if you're taking Drake May, I think you're being lazy. I think he's not even the 3rd best option. I would be taking Daniel Jones over him. I'd be taking Sam Darnold over him as well. Drake May has, of course, had a fantastic year. I agree with you completely. I think he's looking like the best quarterback out of that class, and I think he'll continue to have a great year. But you can't talk about this guy without the schedule. I mean, the combined record of the opponents they beat is 20 and 40. Their strength of schedule metric compared to the rest of the league. It's team rankings that has a strength of schedule metric where it's the Chiefs are negative 3.9, and the next closest team is negative 1.6. Like, they're far and away the easiest schedule. And don't forget, this team lost to the Raiders and the Steelers this year, too.
What I'll say is that it's pretty astounding that Matty is still playing at this high of a level while his high school battery mate, Clayton Kershaw, is now retired.
Yeah.
Pretty sensational. Zach, who's your pick for MVP?
Well, my pick for MVP is Drake May, but T-Mac doesn't.
Because you're lazy.
I hate the pick.
'Cause
I'm
you're
lazy.
lazy.
I'm
No,
just a lazy bum. That's it.
Don't let Tyler change your mind here. It's still a good pick, and like the case again is like you've been talking all year about how the Patriots can't run the ball. Like this offense is all Drake May. And
Yes.
Also, Josh McDaniels deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing in shaping everything around him. But man, he's been awesome. I love the Stafford pick too. You could also make the case for Sam Darnold. He's been amazing.
Darnold
But
would be my 2.
Sam Darnold is awesome this week.
yeah, honestly, at this point in the season, I think you could make the case for like 4 or 5 different guys, and it makes sense.
The way I say that, because I don't want to be like incredibly, well, I've already been disrespectful enough to Drake
it's
May.
too late.
All I would say is he would be my 3rd favorite to win the award at the end of the year. But if we're talking about a mid-season
Right
MVP, I don't think he's on the table.
That's fair.
Okay. Let's move on to Offensive Player of the Year. Wilk, who you got?
Well, I'll spoil both these guys' picks because I know they're going to say Jonathan Taylor, and I
It's
totally
true. I am gonna
understand
say
that.
Jonathan Taylor.
Obviously, the touchdown pace has been ridiculous, but I do think this idea that it's just a runaway for JT is a little disrespectful to everything that Jackson Smith and Jigba's been doing this year. He was obviously really good as a breakout sophomore in 2024. I specifically remember, though, in the offseason, maybe we even shared this take on the show together, when they signed Cooper Kupp, I thought to myself, that's weird. How's that going to work with 2 slot receivers? And the answer is that JSN is not just a slot receiver. He's been even better after moving to the outside. I think no one really thought of him as like a vertical downfield receiver, but he's been incredible with that this year. His route running skills just translate to every level of the field. Currently, he leads all receivers with 4.57 yards per route run. The next closest is Puka Nacua, almost a full yard behind.
Jeez.
And third place, Amon-Ra St. Brown, is a full yard behind Puka Nacua. If this early pace stands, this would be the best wide receiver season by yards per route run since Calvin Johnson and Marcus Colston in 2012. He's been absolutely incredible, and I think that he is equally as deserving as Jonathan Taylor, but I would make the argument that probably even more so at this point.
Zach, do you want to lay out the case for JT on behalf of yourself and T?
I mean, Jonathan Taylor's just been an absolute beast. Like, it's
Facts.
hard. There's really not too much that you have to say about Jonathan Taylor. If anybody has him on their fantasy team, you know exactly how effective this guy does. I think is there's an argument that he's as important to the success of the Colts offense as Daniel Jones has been. Like, when you have a dominant player like this who is the driving force of your team, it's just very rare that you see that. He's obviously leading the NFL in rushing yards. He's
14 touchdowns.
14 touchdowns, just incredibly dynamic player. Like, he makes the case for himself.
Yeah, I think the pace, he's on pace for 26 touchdowns. That would be the fourth most ever.
Yeah.
And 5 short of LT's record.
But I also I don't
Even off the down week last week too.
I don't hate JSN either. I think
No, I mean the yards per catch is just
monster
bananas.
season.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the year. Wilk, we got.
Myles Garrett, I think he had a case as the best player in all of football for the last however many years, and that's the case again this year. I believe he has 11 sacks, and 5 of which came in that game against the Patriots, just absolutely demolishing that offensive line. He's the best. To me, every year I end up looking at the defensive player of the year, I'm like, it's Myles Garrett for me again, so I'm sticking to that far this year.
It's pretty rare for a defensive player of the year to come from a non-playoff team, but holy smokes, is he ever good? Yeah. T, who do you have?
I'm going to go Aiden Hutchinson. I agree with Dan in the fact that Myles Garrett's just been equally as dominant. But Hutchinson coming back from this injury and being this good is incredible. Yeah. He leads the league in pressures. He's got 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery as well. Those are stats I think a lot of people voting for this award will pay attention to as well. And doing it again with a defensive line group that just doesn't wow you. But Hutchinson's just still dominant off this major injury. I'm so impressed in what he's been doing so far, and I'm sure he'll continue.
The crazy thing about Garrett, because you bring up the supporting cast for Hutchinson, is that Garrett does this while the Browns are always losing.
Yeah,
it's so hard to put up sack numbers while you lose. They got smoked by the Patriots, and he had 5 sacks in that game. I've never seen anything like that. He's incredible.
Yeah. I
Zachy.
had Myles Garrett as well.
Yep.
Just similar to, I think prior to this last week, I would have said Micah Parsons because I think he's been so effective at the end of games, and I think by the time the season runs over and you get more of a sample size of the impact that Micah Parsons has, I think he could be the defensive player of the year. He might be the betting favorite right now, even.
Yeah, he is.
But Myles Garrett he is the best player at his position in the NFL.
Yeah, Parsons would need the more raw stats, the counting stats to close the gap. But I will say the amount of pressure production he's had, despite getting double teamed and triple teamed at a higher rate than any other edge rusher in the NFL, kind of speaks to his impact. Opponents have to completely change what they're doing to account for him. He's producing anyway, but also opening things up for everyone else in the process. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Offensive rookie of the year. Wilk?
Emeka Egbuka. I think that this one's a layup, but I feel like someone might have a different.
Is there anyone on this panel who's not
to be
in
different.
agreement?
I tried to think of someone else. It's not really possible.
I managed to come up with somebody else.
Go
I managed
off.
to come up with somebody else. The No Timeout's favorite quarterback, the quarterback of the year, Jackson Dart, baby. Jackson Dart is my rookie of the year. Before we jump down my throat, let me lay out my case, all right?
Go.
All right.
He was
Hold on. Before you do it, do not say vibes.
All right. Well,
Don't use the letter E.
Can I get a couple minutes? Can I get a couple minutes to work on a new case?
No vibes are electric.
So Jackson Dart, 10 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions on the year. He's also added another 5 rushing touchdowns.
Wow. Okay, I'm kind of impressed. I did not know his numbers
Are you
were like
changing
that
your vote?
touchdown-wise. That's pretty good.
Over
Brian's
60% completion percentage on the year. He's He is, I think, the signature reason why the Giants beat the Chargers.
Are 2-7.
Why? Hey, Jonah, I said let me have my moment, okay? Okay, I know it's all gonna. Everybody's gonna deny everything that I'm saying, okay? Let me have it. I think he's the signature reason why they were able to beat the Eagles, why they were able to beat the Chargers, 2 really big games.
Yeah.
He's Brian Dable's MVP
for sure.
He has a job still,
and he's doing this with a really poor team.
Yep.
Malik Neighbors has been out for the entire year.
Yep.
They've got Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt, and these are the guys that are leading the way for them in the receiving core. So I think that he's lifting the team up above him. I'm always biased towards quarterbacks. I love to see what quarterbacks do. To me, Jackson Dart would be my rookie of the year. Okay, let's go.
Listen, Russell Wilson would find, despite the losses piling up, this offense would look much worse with Russell Wilson. I can definitely agree.
Right?
With that.
I mean, look, I won't deny that Dart has a pretty good chance to do it. 1, because he's in New York. 2, because he's a quarterback.
And 3, because his numbers are objectively not bad.
He's been pretty good. Like he's gotten off to a really good start. I just don't think that these awards should by default go to quarterbacks. And it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an award go to a quarterback over a more deserving skill position player. Again, this is not most valuable offensive player of the year. This is offensive player of the year or offensive rookie of the year, sorry. And to me, that's Igbukah easily.
Dude, Igbukah is top 12 in the NFL in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, not among rookies, just among wide receivers.
Yeah.
He has, I mean, on a team that is pretty deep in the wide receiver room, he has emerged as the clear number 1, which is pretty amazing. Okay, finally, defensive rookie of the year, Wilk.
I'm going with Carson Schlesinger. I think that he's just been everywhere for the Browns defense. I love the pick when they made it, and he's just lived up to the hype so far. Just a really good coming out of UCLA, I thought he was kind of like the perfect modern linebacker, really good in coverage, just a sound run defender, physical guy. He's all over the field whenever you watch the Browns, and he's going to be part of that future.
I had the same pick even without even looking at what Wilkie was going for, which is usually how I take my football takes, just get whatever Wilkie's doing.
Just
trying to.
I don't know where you got the offensive rookie.
He went into his bag for that one.
I was between the two. I was on I was thinking Schlesinger as well, but I wanted to take the chance to give Will Johnson a lot of credit for what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, Will Johnson's been awesome.
He's been really good in terms of just always on the field. He's missed a couple games, but when he's available and healthy, this team is utilizing him, not like a mid-second round pick that he went in this past draft.
It was just so weird to me watching him fall all day for as long as he did through day 1 and into day 2. It's like, okay, obviously I'm not a doctor, but like when he's on the field, he's a difference maker, and that's obviously been proven to be correct.
Both Schlesinger and Johnson, according to Pro Football Focus, are like top 10, top 15 at their position among qualified players, not qualified rookies, which is just astounding. They've both been incredible. Gentlemen, before we move on, before we go home, I want to hear some bold predictions for the season's second half. Wilk, what do you got?
I've been spreading lots of Seahawks propaganda recently, so I might as well go back to the well there. I'll say that the Seahawks end up with the number 1 seed in the NFC and have home field advantage all through the playoffs. I just think this is such a complete team. We knew the defense was going to be great, and they have been, but this offense has been so much fun to watch, really despite the fact that they haven't found any sort of consistency with the run game. That's because Sam Darnold has been the best deep ball passer in all of football. I think that's been a pretty huge surprise to everyone, but Clint Kubiak has done an amazing job of dialing those up for him. And like we talked about earlier, JSN has transformed his game to be a complete receiver and is really good at getting the ball down the field. But then they lean into that even more at the deadline, go out and get Rashid Shaheed, who I would say has really
loved that move.
Yeah, really completed and developed his game over the past few years. But his bread and butter is just being one of, if not the best deep ball receivers in the entire NFL. Yep. So I think that they're really going to lean into that even more. It's such a good fit in that sense.
Especially as you like shade coverages over to JSN, who's drawing so much attention, and then you have Shaheed on the other side to stretch the field. Like, that's a game changer.
Yes, I just think that they've got everything that they need to make a run. So just going back to our Shark Tank segment, I'm very glad that you took my investment in the Seahawks because I think that they have a real chance to go on a run here.
Yeah, and I also think that like the sort of presumptive powerhouses of the NFC, they haven't really shown it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of open for a team like the Seahawks to take charge of the conference. T, what's your bold prediction?
Yeah, why isn't anybody talking about this? Why is nobody talking about Jamar Chase leading or breaking the single season receptions record? Because I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that this offense is utilizing him. He's on pace right now for over 200 targets and 144 receptions. Wow. But the thing is, that doesn't break the record if he keeps that pace going. The record is 149 for Michael Thomas in 2019. The thing is, in the last 4 weeks since Joe Flacco has arrived, does anybody want to guess how many receptions Ja'Marr Chase has?
I believe he has 44.
Yeah, 44 receptions in the last 4 games, 11 receptions per game. If he wants to break this record over the last, they have 8 games left on the season, he needs to average 9.25 receptions per game. Very much within reach in a team that cannot run the football and is now employing Joe Flacco over Jake Browning, which I think for any team, as we've shown, whether it's the Colts or the Browns, it just makes the offense more willing to throw the football, regardless of who's calling the plays.
Yeah, so also a team that cannot stop anyone, who is probably pretty regularly giving up 30, 40 points. They have no choice but to be in these shootouts. So, and yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about the Flacco trade is, like, I don't think any of us thought that this was going to save their season, but it was definitely going to make their offense more watchable, and just having a quarterback who could effectively push the ball downfield to these superstar receivers, and we're seeing it pay off. And yeah, I agree with you. I was putting together my midseason All-Pro team this week, and Chase was obviously a part of it.
Yeah.
And I was looking ahead, being like, he legitimately has a chance to break this record.
It's hilarious to look at his targets and receptions. 76, I believe he has, and JSN still, I think, has him by like 100 yards, maybe.
It's crazy.
With like half the receptions.
Yeah.
So yeah, he needs to average over his remaining 8 games 9.3 receptions per game to overtake Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas in his record-setting season averaged 9.3 receptions per game.
Okay.
A little bit of coincidence there. Zach, give me a bold prediction.
How about this one? Another guy that I think we're not talking enough about, James Cook. My prediction is that James Cook is going to lead the NFL in rushing yards, which maybe isn't even that bold of a prediction.
No
because
way.
He's already the second leading rusher in the NFL. He averages 108 rushing yards per game.
That's more than JT.
And yeah, he has played one less game than Jonathan Taylor, and he's only like 30 yards behind him for like the rushing lead. So not a bold prediction, but I think if you ask the random NFL fan on the street to say, do you think James Cook is the second leading rusher in the NFL? I don't think that they would. Yeah. But he is just a guy who just like, this is a weird thing to say, but I had him in Dynasty for a really long time, and I was really trying to trade him in my Dynasty league because I'm rebuilding, and I couldn't get a good offer for him.
He's the Jets.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I couldn't get a good offer for him because he has this sort of stink about him that he's not that great of a player. He is a great running back, and I think the way that the Bills are running their team right now, obviously the reason why they brought Joe Brady in the first place was Alex Van Pelt was refusing to run the ball, and now that they've instituted the run game, it makes them so much more of an effective team, and I think they're going to continue to lead on that, and I think he's going to blow everybody else out of the water.
I hate to take this and be negative, but man, it just feels like the Bills squandered an opportunity at the deadline to add somebody up front, or maybe it's linebacker, maybe it's D-tackle with the injuries.
I was hoping they'd get a receiver, man.
I was just going to say, and a receiver, and kind of like, hey, we've got a KC team we've now seen is vulnerable to us in our run game. Like, let's complete the puzzle, and like this is our shot. I'm disappointed in a bit.
Buffalo is going to be ablaze when they lose to the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC
Championship.
I'm telling you, man, they're folding
30
the team.
carries down the middle.
Yeah, they're moving to Monterrey, Mexico. It's going to be tough. Okay, last but not least, this is actually our final mini segment. Give me your games of the week, because this week's slate is the best in a little while. Wilk.
Is it Monday night? Eagles Packers.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, I gotta see something.
Guys
from
will
the Packers,
see that and
man.
say hell yeah.
Yeah,
Monday night, baby.
They've got 2 losses on this year that were very concerning. Obviously, the Browns and then the Panthers last week. This offense has so much firepower. There's so much upside, and then they just so consistently find a way to disappoint. Maybe they just get hot at the right time. I won't rule that out, but they are now going to be without Tucker Kraft, who was, in my mind, the best tight end in football over the first half of the season. So I'm interested to see how they adjust there. And then the Eagles, obviously, they're always a little bit of a circus in that defending champs. We thought they would be great. They always have some sort of drama going on, and they find a way to right the ship. So I'm interested to see how they come out of the bye, and if they can keep running the football like they did heading in, because that made a big difference for my outlook on them the rest of the season.
No one's built to beat. I don't think there's a team better built to beat the Packers than the Eagles, because you talk about an elite offensive line group to be able to contain the pass rush, and then you've got a Packers team that's now missing Tucker Kraft, who is just like dominating man coverage, and nobody else in this team can really separate, and they're missing him. And this is an Eagles team with Fangio that's just playing a lot of man, because I think he trusts the personnel. So it's going to.
I will say I'm looking up, when does Toyotathon start, because
yeah. It's a good point.
What?
Jordan Love goes off
You don't know?
during Toyotathon.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Jordan
wasn't
Love.
aware.
Jordan Love is apparently a Toyotathon merchant. So
yeah.
like he every year, as soon as Toyotathon starts, like for the rest of the year, he is just playing out of his mind.
You
I
might
mean,
say he
Dan,
started-
That's all we need.
Dan wanted to stop the Tom Brady cloning thing, and you know this.
You might
this
say.
is a well-known thing. You
I've
ever
never
been on
heard
the
this in my
internet
life.
before?
Yeah. What the hell?
Wait, let me get this joke off. You might say when Toyotathon starts, Jordan Love starts corolling.
Oh my God! All right, can we move on?
Wow.
to
Yeah,
this game,
we got to
please?
wrap up this episode. What's your game of the week? What's your game of the week?
I'm excited for Pat's Bucks, like because
Yeah.
again, I mentioned Drake May and the fact they haven't played a lot of
Your
great opponents. Yeah, and I was almost right with the Falcons. They just got to make an extra point. I'm excited to see this test for them because the Bucks have been pretty good. Like when
Yeah,
you get
real
that
good.
Todd Bowles defense and the chance for a coach that can really scheme stuff up against a quarterback that's really ascending, that excites me. And then the Bucks being able to move the ball against the Patriots defense, it's also been very good. So I'm excited for this game.
Zach, wrap it up.
I got the Ravens and the Vikings. A great game for purple enthusiasts like Jonah. He's got the purple
Yeah,
shirt on.
good
He's waiting for
uniform
that game. That's just a good game. That's just a show me something game. I love a show me something game.
Yep.
We need to see one of these teams has to come out and say, hey, we're here. We're ready to arrive. We talked about them in the movers and shakers segment. So let's see which of these teams is going to come out and show us something.
Could
We'll
be
see.
a sky is falling game for the loser. That's what
Big
I feel
time.
like the takeaway would be.
Big time.
100%. Fortunately, the sky didn't fall on today's episode of No Timeouts. Maybe next week. I don't know. But that'll do it for today's show. Once again, that's Zak McDonald. That is Stan Wilkins. I got that right. That's Tyler MacKillop. My name is Jonah Birenbaum. We'll see you next time.